Hey guys, Harrison101 here, back at it once again for a brand new video for you, and welcome to my bedroom on a Monday morning. It's 5 to 1 in the morning here as I'm recording this, but I always come out with my best stuff at this kind of time, so hey, maybe it works. Welcome to a little mini-series called Dre's Top 10 Pound for Pound Formula 1 Drivers since 2005 list, Part 1. I know it rolls right off the tongue. I'll probably knock it down a little bit once the actual video is up. But anywho, I've always wanted to do this. My new focus on YouTube is to try and be the #1 opinionated Formula One director out there now. Just almost taking a journalistic style to YouTube when it comes to opinion-based content and talking about what's going on in Formula One or motorsport in general. For Formula One, for MotoGP, and for so on, and other stuff as well, depending on what comes up. So I thought, let's kick that off by starting a big project, and this is a 2-video project where I will, in my opinion, break down the top 10 pound for pound drivers in Formula One at the moment. Now, pound for pound is an argument of who are the 10 best drivers in this sport, regardless of car, and there's a lot of different criteria on this, and pound for pound lists in general are something that's very, very hard to manage and operate properly because they don't happen in very many sports. Like, for example, there's only really pound for pound lists in boxing and MMA, really, combat sports. I thought I'd try and take that and apply it to a sport that is hard to judge because it's constantly changing year in and year out. So, before I start, a couple of things you need to bear in mind. Number one, this only applies to the current 22-man roster for 2013 at the moment, for this current season. I am going back from 2005 onwards, because that's when I started taking this sport more seriously. Ironically, it was the time Schumacher stopped winning, which is kind of weird considering I was a Schumacher fanboy for like years and years, but regardless. Only current drivers from 2005 onwards, because that's when I started paying more attention to Formula One properly. I've been watching since 2000, but from a proper serious standpoint, 05 onwards, I would say. Also, one more thing to bear in mind. I've rated these guys on current ability, success, consistency, and strength of car, because obviously guys doing well in what's technically designated to be weaker cars, and the guys who have more experience tended to get the nod in this list. And ultimately, before I start, one more thing, this is just my opinion. If you disagree, that's totally fine. It doesn't give you an excuse to send hate on this video. If you don't like it for a reason, beyond just my opinions, let me know. I can improve in the future. But don't send abuse just because you disagree with me. That's wrong. And nobody wants that, right? Gotcha. One more thing before I start as well, some honourable mentions. Sergio Perez, Nico Hulkenberg, and Adrian Sutil were 11, 12, and 13 respectively on this, because I know people ask me who was on the fringe and who was close and whatnot. If there was literally a number 11, Sergio Perez would have made it in as a number 11 because of his brilliant first proper season at Sauber, and he's starting to develop more of a consistency at McLaren right now, and I think his raw ability is very, very high. Hulkenberg again, brilliant, young career and whatnot outside of Formula One, but his career's never really taken off once he's actually got to Formula One. Inconsistency, being a test driver and whatnot, all that kind of stuff. Sutil, same rules apply really. Good raw ability, but never really taken off career-wise. Anywho, without further ado, enough talking as I've been talking now for over 4 minutes. Here is my top 10 pound for pound list, part 1. Okay, being totally honest here, there was 5 or 6 guys I probably could have put on this list and it would have made some sense. The midfield in Formula 1 right now is as competitive as it's ever been in the history of this sport. There are so many talented guys coming through, as well as guys that rotates the order around almost every race, or a good finish can put you P5 or 6, or a bad one can put you 14th or 15th. That's the nature of this sport right now. So it was hard choosing 10 and 9 on this list. And for me, the person that deserves the spot at number 10 is Force India's Paul di Resta. And I chose Paul di Resta because I think he is the best of the midfield runners right now. Despite the Force India not having the best qualifying pace, he's often brung it up to be a viable point-scoring car at a lot of races this year. I think he's scored points in 7 of the 9 races so far this season, and he's always, to me, shown like he's the mid-card guy that has the biggest chance of breaking out. And if he can get a slightly better car next year, there's no limit to what the guy I think can accomplish. I think he's an excellent, slightly younger driver. He's on the older side at 27. He's right in the middle of the field in terms of average age and all that, but I think Paul di Resta is an excellent midfield runner, taking that Force India to places where it's consistently beaten the McLarens, a team with an established reputation with a lot of hand-me-downs on the car, and his best result of 4th place in Bahrain earlier this season shows the kid has got a bright promise, and that is why I chose Paul di Resta as my number 10. Okay, flame shield up. Yes, I chose Romain Grosjean at number 9. Now, before you click this dislike button on this video and leave in an angry rant, hear me out on this one. I know he's not had a ton of experience, but with the Lotus team, he achieved 8th in the World Championship last year, and he's currently 8th in the World Drivers' Standings this year. It's kind of goes to show you that last year was no fluke, and despite he loses points on strength of car, because Lotus is a strong car and it wants to be, Romain Grosjean has proven he can more than be a match for Kimi Räikkönen on numerous occasions, who, as we all know, is an established elite driver who is higher up on the list. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But in the meantime, Grosjean, when things go right, shows tremendous pace and raw talent. The kid has got such a high upside that I could not put him on this list. It will be a disservice to his current ability. Yes, I know he's got spatial awareness problems, and he does pull off some dangerous manoeuvres, and the guy had a really bad knack of throwing away points due to horrible starts. But if you're able to see beyond that, you realise there is actually a very talented driver there, and that is why I chose Romain Grosjean at the number 9. His potential factor is off the charts. Yes, I know he's doing it in a decent car, but I think this kid's got something. Trust me, if Lotus didn't agree with me on that point, they would have dropped him a long time ago. Romain Grosjean at the number 9. If you've made it this far and you haven't clicked off the video, I owe you one. Thanks. Going to be honest, folks, was going to have Felipe Massa at number 7, but at the last minute I changed my mind and knocked him down to 8. I think you'll understand why when I explain who I have at number 7. But if this was just on the last 3 years, Felipe Massa probably wouldn't even make the top 10. It's his past achievements that have kind of earned him the reputation of getting to the number 8 spot. The guy just doesn't win races anymore, and it's sad. It's sad to see how far Felipe Massa, for the most part, has fallen in a sport, you know, which is as ruthless and as cutthroat as this one. I think a lot of us Formula 1 fans are very sympathetic towards Felipe Massa. But you've got to remember, the guy was one corner away from winning a world championship in 2008. And, you know, Timo Glock gifted Lewis Hamilton the world championship. And ever since then, he's either missed a lot of time due to obviously unforeseen circumstances of his injury, and when he's come back, he's never looked like the same guy. He's never looked like a guy that could legitimately challenge for a world title again, or even push his teammate Fernando Alonso. It's sad because Felipe's one of the true nice guys. He's always been a very solid driver. Doesn't normally put make errors or put feet in the wrong place or anything like that. It's just now you can see his skill set start to decline, and other guys are going to pass him by, and he's in a contract here, so who knows if he even gets re-signed at the end of the season. I hope he does, but overall, Felipe Massa only at number 8, unfortunately, because I think other guys and the sport in general has passed him by. At number 7, we have Nico Rosberg.
Now do you see why I was having difficulty differentiating between the two? Do you go with the guy who has experience and winning in the past, or do you go with the guy that's clearly improved now? I chose Nico Rosberg now because I think Rosberg's always been pretty solid. Even if he had the reputation of being a bit of a mid-tier guy, but you got to consider what he had at the time. He had a pretty average Williams car for 4 years. Joined Mercedes in 2010, and that seemed to make him a little bit more consistent. And right now, with the arrival of Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes in 2013, it's clearly brought out the best in him. In the last 2 years, Rosberg has shown great improvement. A guy that looks like he can now challenge for race wins more often than not. And actually has won races. He's won 3 races in the last 2 seasons, or season and a half, as well as featuring on the podium at Monaco as well. Despite the fact he finished 9th in last year's World Championship, he's currently 6th this year, and is looking like this is in the case having his best season ever. So right now, Rosberg, I think, is a guy that might be the lowest of the top level runners, but I think Rosberg has gone above that mid-card tier now, and is a guy that is, consistent and, showing promise, and it seems to be entering his prime as a Formula 1 driver, and that is why I have Nico Rosberg at number 7. One to look out for. And to round off this episode at number 6, we have Mark Webber. Now, Mark Webber screams to me as a number 6 because he is the guy that I think has been the closest to winning a world championship without actually winning one, given the tools he has. And that's kind of the reason why he's only at 6, because I literally can't put him any higher. He's won 9 races in the time he's been at Red Bull. He's challenged Vettel now and again within the team, and twice he's finished 3rd in the World Drivers' Championship. Webber is a guy that is consistently good, sometimes great, and that's exactly what you need in a number 2 driver more often than not. It's a shame he's never won a big one, because he's probably deserved one for an illustrious and very, very solid career over the last 200 plus Grand Prix he's had. But he's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, because there's other guys younger who are starting to show that they can match him, maybe even beat him over a course of a season now. Not to mention, I literally can't put him any higher because the 5 guys who are above him have won a world championship, and it just would be silly for me to put Webber above any other else on this list. Spoiler alert for the top 5 right there. But overall, I wish Webber all the best. He's had a very, very solid career, very good career. The strength of car does hurt him a little bit in this argument, but I think he's better than Rosberg and Massa. It's just, he's caught between a rock and a hard place, and I literally can't put him any higher. So, Webber, Fraser at 6, my man. Happy retirement.
You still here? Haven't rage quit the video? Well done, I'm impressed. A lot of controversial opinions in that video, I'm sure, and I know this is going to tick some people off or make some people disagree, but that's the power of debate for you. Anyway, before I go, a couple of quick hints before part 2 comes up. Number 1, like I said, all of the top 5 are world champions. It's just a matter of what order did I put them in. You'll find out when the time is right. Number 2, I also had a really, really difficult time deciding between positions 2, 3, and 4. You'll see what I mean when part 2 goes up. So, anyone want to hazard a guess as to what the top 5 looks like? If so, let me know, and let me know what you thought of the video in general. I tried to base this more on my style of the 5 thoughts on series, which I did earlier in the month. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like, let me know what you think. Of course, any and all constructive feedback is much appreciated. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. I've been Harrison Wonham. Thank you very much for watching. I'm signing out.